Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Sticks and Bones podcast. It is High Priestess Chelsea and Dr. K. Hi, Dr. K. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, just a girl living her days. And yeah, it's cold. I'm ready for summer, but I know when it's going to be summer this year, you're going to ask me how I'm doing in July, and I'm going to say I'm ready for winter. So, just waiting for that like happy medium.
I know it's been really cold here on the East Coast. Like it's 28 degrees today. I'm freezing, but
I have a
what are we
space heater
gonna do?
below me.
What are we gonna do? The girls are cold. I'm actually drinking hot tea in my little ghost mug. I have like this homemade herbal tea because I'm just like my bones are cold. You know when your bones are cold and you're like, I just need hot drinks.
That is a very like teehee mug.
I'm like, tea, hello.
He literally looks like teehee, I'll haunt you.
I know. I've those are my kinds of Halloween decorations, like the teehee little funny ghost ones. Like I don't listen, no hate to the people who do the scary stuff, but
I
why? I have
love the scary
questions.
stuff.
I don't, because when you roll up to my house, it's like teehee, I'm a ghost, and I'm just like flying away. But we are coming off mystery box season here at Sticks and Bones. So we just want to thank you guys who purchased a mystery box. Unsure if we have any left because we are filming in advance, but we
Yes.
might. So you can go check our website. But we did Apollo and Artemis, the twins, and we included some of those amazing items in those mystery boxes. Some of you got an Apollo bust. There's like an Artemis tray, like just really beautiful,
Oh, it is.
exquisite.
It's what the mythology girls want.
It is. And if you guys are new here, we do mystery boxes, what is it, 4 times a year? We do the two equinoxes
Hmm.
and the two solstices. So anytime there's an
Yep.
equinox or a solstice, you can bet your bottom dollar that we are doing mystery boxes. And we always do a theme around like mythology or a god. So if you're just finding us, check out our Instagram, Sticks and Bones Temple. We do have a store where we create products around Greek myth and the gods. So I'm really excited. And today, actually, we're having a drop for Dionysus because we are
Whoop.
entering mystery cult season.
Oh,
About that time.
Mr. Polk season is back again for initiations.
I know, I'm so excited. So, yeah, we've talked about Eleusis. We've also talked about Dionysus's mystery cult. And
Mhm.
so, this time of year, we usually restock things around Persephone. We're going to have her goddess of the spring aspect in the store this year. And we are
Mhm.
doing something around Dionysus. So, check that out for all of you people who love Dionysus. We have perfumed oils, his incense, his candle. It smells like drunken love off of some wine and just being a king, being a royal. It does.
No, it really does. And yeah, if you're like, oh my gosh, what is a mystery cult? Check out we have we have multiple episodes on Persephone, but I think there's one of Eleusis, there's one of the Bacchanalia and the mystery cult of Dionysus, and the cult of Isis. So we're mystery cult girls.
I think
Like,
it's the coolest part. Also too, like a lot of the products we create around Dionysus, they just remind me of like dancing naked with wine in my hand, and like he's just sitting in a chair watching his like people in his mystery cult just dancing
I
around
mean,
him. I mean, that's what they did, but
it's kind of the vibe and what
it's
the
the vibe.
initiation was.
So if
Well,
you
that was
want
the
to
initiation.
embody that energy, that's what
Yeah.
we have in the store. If you're like, I need more of like the wildness of
The
like the
frenzy.
party and the frenzy and the celebration, and I just want to just like be free.
Hmm.
You might be a Dionysus girl. I'm just saying.
Dionysus had all the followers.
He was for the girls.
He was for everyone, like
No,
honestly.
for real. Like we've talked about how like his imagery is also like super androgynous. Like Dionysus is so cool. I'm a Dionysus stan. I don't think he gets enough love, but here at Six Months Temple, we love Dionysus. So almost mystery cult season, and yeah, check out his drop in our store. We have amazing things for him.
No, I'm super excited for spring and everything because I think mystery cults they get forgotten about, especially during the springtime. Like we all love Persephone coming back to the mortal realm for spring, but let's talk about her mystery cult. Let's talk about why it's so important and like who could join. Would you guys want to join and all that fun,
Yes,
stuff? But
I do want to
speaking
join. Thanks for asking. How do I do?
But speaking of joining a mystery cult, we have mystery cult members only content for both Patreon, for the Myth Girlies over on Patreon, and for those girly pops over on YouTube who are looking for more Sticks and Bones content because we're only here every other week. So, like, we got to fill you guys in on
What do
everything
we
else.
have? What do we have on the slate? Because I think March is really exciting. I think you guys are gonna die at some of our content we're doing.
We're cooking this month. We
We're
have
cooking.
everybody, everybody, Patreon, members only, mystery cult on YouTube, we're getting, make Zeus cool again. Zeus is spin team because, High Priestess Chelsea and I, we've seen a lot. We've heard a lot. And Zeus does not get the respect that he deserves as a king. So we are taking that to court and we will convince you all that he's cool. So
I don't
you can
know.
join us for
I
that.
don't think he's cool. Like honestly, like before we dive into this
Cool.
episode, it's like I get like when you read his mythology, he's like super like big time cheater on Hera, but like also at the same time, if he didn't do those things, and you have to argue both points and look at this unbiasedly, we wouldn't have half the mythology and half the gods like Dionysus that you guys love. We wouldn't have Dionysus's mystery cult and like Semele, Dionysus's mom, who he strikes with lightning, and I'm just saying like there's a lot of things we wouldn't have. We
We
wouldn't
wouldn't have heroes. We wouldn't have heroes. Like,
wouldn't
I'm
have
sorry.
Athena,
We wouldn't have Perseus. Like, I
Artemis,
get golden
Apollo,
shower. I get it. It's
the
not for everybody.
swan.
But like, yeah, I wouldn't want to hatch my children. Like,
Yeah, so we're gonna go like we're gonna be really crazy about this. Like we're gonna look at it from every point of like, okay, why are people saying these things about Zeus? But also, may I suggest, every god you love comes from this man.
might I suggest Zeus's spin team. So
Yes.
everybody will be getting that. Of course, for the members of book club, we are diving into Greek mythological sources. Too many words are coming out of my mouth. Going over Greek mythological sources because we always get questions on what book is that? What are you doing? What are you reading? What's that? What's that? What's that? We're going to go over it. We're going to give you like our sticks and bones seal of approval, little sticker book club. And this is actually one of the most common books that we use as like a prop because it's got beautiful artwork. But we'll let you guys know our thoughts, theories, and more for this month coming up. And then last but not least, if you are looking for more, Chelsea and 10. Well, we are sitting down and we are doing a mukbang of Greek food. I'm so excited. I'm already picturing my order right now. And we are answering your burning questions that you have for us. So I'm super
I
excited.
I'm a Greek food connoisseur, so like, well, we order Greek food around every mystery box season. Like, it's a treat to ourselves. Like, we will order us and like our employees Greek food, and this is what we're saying. We love Greek food, Greek culture, Greek gods, ancient Greek religion, Greek mythology. So if you guys are like, I want to order Greek food and I don't know where to start, let me tell you something. We are the two best people to lead you down that
Lucumates.
path, honestly. So yeah, we're gonna answer your questions. We're gonna eat some Greek food. We're gonna hang out. So that will be for members only, and also Patreon will also be getting this content as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we're super excited. So don't forget to join that. All right, we ready? We're going into today's episode. As a high priestess, it is my duty to air King Hades' dirty laundry of relationships. That's what we're doing today. It's my job. It's my job to be like, did you guys know this? Fun fact.
You
Persephone
did.
wasn't the only one.
She was the final one, but not the only one.
Was she the final one? Stay tuned to the end because you just don't know what we have up our sleeve today. I bet you guys didn't know that he had other lovers.
Yeah.
Makes
No,
sense.
I think everybody's shocked because like you look at Hades and like I don't know why today like everybody's like my Shayla like he's perfect and pristine, he doesn't cheat, he doesn't do anything, like because you're comparing it to Zeus. But did you know the good king of the underworld had other lovers because he's a king, he's coming with baggage.
He's a god. He's a king. He can do whatever he wants. Like he can pick whoever he wants. He can stroll up to an nymph and be like, "Hey,"
And
and
boy does he.
she'll be like, "Yep," because you know why? It's a king. So we kind of have to put like our ancient hats back on and be like, okay, because Persephone wasn't the first one that was abducted, and I bet you guys didn't know that either. She was not the first one. He has an MO. He is not misunderstood. I need y'all to stop saying this. He is not misunderstood. Okay, we have to stop this nonsense. He knows what he wants. He's a king. And he's not perfect, but
Oh,
he might
in
be a
fact,
monogamous king, and we're gonna find out.
I in fact I think he like really worked on his MO and like that's why I think he was able to snatch and grab Persephone so good. Like
He knew
that
what he
was
was
like
doing.
that was like perfect timing. Like he was like, I'm not here to mess around, like in, out, get it done. But where do you want to start? I guess like with like the first the first
Well, I feel like we should start with maybe a caveat to this, okay? Because a lot of you guys
okay.
ask us, how do we know these things? Where are you finding it? How do you know? Some of Hades' lovers are not coming from like the OG sources. Okay. So like some of them are coming from Ovid, which is like a Roman retelling, depending on how you're looking at the myth. So these are like very lesser known nymphs and goddesses that are coming at what I am is assuming a later time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Later
Wait,
editions.
One is very much a later edition. The second one, I mean, yeah, if we're counting like the OG sources of like Hades and Persephone being the hymn to Demeter, then yeah, these are all not
That's what I'm
OG.
saying. Like what we've talked about so far, like the OG sources, these are definitely like add-ons. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are
so
coming later, which like I get his lore is developing. We love that for a king. But
maybe he didn't want to disclose his gossip right away. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
But okay, so for I just wanted to set the scene because if you're like, okay, like these are not from some of the earlier sources, you're correct. But we still have
Yeah.
to take into account with a lot of things with Greek mythology. We do look at everything. So we're just putting it into a fun little story today. And we are trailing down the road that Hades has had other lovers before Persephone. And who are they? So do you want to start with number one?
I think we should, yeah, because these are lovers of antiquity. So, like, as long as it fits in the time period of ancient period and antiquity, yeah, they count from my book. We're in 2025.
That's what I'm saying.
The tea is ancient, but we're here for it. Yeah, I think we should start with number one, who I guess like we place as like the earliest in
I
his
guess.
lover
His
timeline,
first girlfriend.
his first love. No,
No, this one's actually really sad.
no.
Like, I think this podcast episode, speaking of a spin team, is gonna make you guys like Hades so much more. Like honestly, because like when I was reading this today, I know about his other lovers, but I'm like the first one kind of always gets me.
First one, like it really is like a first kind of love of like who is she? Like it's a love story for the ages, but like there are better ones. Like and
We also don't really know much about her though. Like
mysterious. Like
there's like a few things that we know. Anyway, do you want to take the first one?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Jump in whenever. So we have another nymph because King Hades just loves the nymphs. I guess he's just like his brother with that. But so we have Leuce, Leuke, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. But she is an Oceanian nymph. She is the daughter of the Titan Oceanus. All right. So we're getting her pedigree. We know that she's coming from, a Titan.
Mhm. Yeah, she's
And she
a woman of stature.
yeah, she's said to be very, very beautiful. I mean, what nymph isn't, first of all?
Mhm.
Um, but it's basically, saying Hades came up and snatched and grabbed her,
Yep.
kidnapped her, if you will, and brought her back down to Hades. And this was because he fell in love with her. And she lived out her life in the underworld with her king. And
Yeah.
then she died. And then he was upset. So he turned her into the white poplar tree, which will have later associations to like Heracles, the
Mhm.
Acheron, and different areas in Greece. But it's really interesting. But this is coming from like very late sources. But it's kind of nice. I don't know.
I love this story. I wish we knew more. Like honestly, this is a lot of you're gonna be like, What else?" That's all we know. That's
That's all.
all. That's literally it. That's all we know. But I really love how like she died, which I didn't really realize like nymphs passed away. I guess like
So, from
I
my
guess some of
understanding,
them.
nymphs are they're not immortal like gods, but like because even some gods technically can be killed, but like nymphs have a elongated
Right.
time of life, but it's longer than humans by a lot, but it's not
Right.
as long as gods.
I was like, oh yeah, I forgot because like they're not like 100% divine. So like yeah, of course they're gonna pass
Yeah.
away. So when I read that she died and he was like so well, we're assuming so upset that he created the poplar tree and then we'll have later associations like Dr. K said. I was like, that's so sweet. He turned her into like this beautiful, tree associated with the underworld. So yeah, that was his what we're assuming is his first love. I don't know. Like that's what we have.
I don't know, like he really like it says, or we could assume that like he loved her. I mean, he kidnapped her, so like do what you will with that information. But like there's no other relationships going on during her life. I don't know how long uh ocean nymphs live for, but I mean, it seems like he's like pretty monogamous, at least with her.
I just I have some questions because I'm like, he didn't marry her though.
Correct.
So here's my thing. Like, this is what I don't understand. And as a girl that's been in
Hmm.
relationships before, long-term relationships with no end promise in sight. I wonder
Maybe
why he didn't marry her. Is it because she was going to die? Like, is that it? Maybe it would have been like,
Maybe
I
because she
don't know.
was a nymph.
That's what I'm
So,
saying. I don't know.
like, not the death thing, because you could, like, if he wanted to, I'm sure he could have turned her immortal.
Well, I have some
So,
questions. You know what I'm saying? We talked about this yesterday. I have some questions.
yeah. So maybe it was just like a long-term thing, like a partnership. And that was kind of it. Like, maybe he wasn't looking for a wife then. I don't know.
I mean, I'll tell you, I'll be pissed. You're with someone for that long, and then they're like, "Bye," and you just pass away. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the other side of things of like he could have turned her immortal and he could have made her his wife, but he didn't. So I have some questions. Why? First of
Yes.
all, how
And
dare
like,
you?
we're
Why?
only getting like third
Yeah.
person perspective. So like,
100%.
what was she feeling? What was he feeling? Like, did he try? Like, did he to Papa Zeus's door and he was like, I'd love to make this one immortal? And he goes, no. So I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense to me because when Hades wants something, he does it and he gets it. So I'm like, I don't know. And I know, we're theorizing because we don't know. We only know what Dr. K has told us. We don't have any more information. But as a woman, I'm like, so I'm not queen of the underworld?
Well, maybe that's the thing. Maybe he wasn't looking for a queen. Like, I don't
Perhaps.
know. I don't know what
Yeah.
he's looking for. Maybe
I
he
don't
was like,
know.
I can handle all of the bureaucracy. I just need
It's
somebody to look nice on my arm. I don't
just
know.
me offering devil's advocate of like, okay, yeah, I do think it's a really sweet story. But if you look at it through the other side of the lens of like, well, why isn't she a permanent figure in his existence? I got some questions, you know what I'm saying? But we don't know any more than that. So that's that.
I mean, maybe he was in love with her, but like she didn't fit who he was supposed to marry.
Mhm.
So he was like, I'm gonna have to let you die, which is so sad.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Leuce, which I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yeah. Very,
Next
very
week,
sad.
next we have in line. I'm not gonna go too much detail into this one because if you don't know who we're talking about, this is the most iconic story, is Minthe. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of arguments about Minthe. Did Hades cheat on Persephone with Minthe? I know Dr. K rolled her eyes, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Who is Minthe? So Minthe is another nymph. And it is said that she potentially had a relationship with the god Hades. We're not
Hmm.
sure to what extent. We don't really know a lot of information about her. But why she's so famous is because she claimed to be more superior than Persephone. Now, when is this timeline? We don't know if Persephone, we surmise Persephone was already married to Hades, and then Minthe could have just been like a past tryst he had, or
That's kind of how Oppian writes it, that
yes,
like they had like they were together at one point, and then he was like, thanks for the time.
yeah.
I need to find a wife. He grabs a wife, makes her
Mhm.
queen, and then Minthe is upset. She's a scorned lover. I mean, how could you not
Yes.
be? And is basically touting off of like, I'm so much better. I come from a better
Hmm.
bloodline. I'm more beautiful. And
Right.
he's going to leave you and he's going to come back to me, which, like, bold, first of all. And then she gets scourged and turned into mint.
Yeah. So, and then depending on the source, it's either Demeter came by and squashed her, or Persephone turns her into a mint plant. But what's funny is that the mint plant, like if you're a gardener, you know it's like one of the most evasive plants to have in your garden. Like it just doesn't stop growing and like it grows out of its container. Like it's just one of those annoying plants. And in the ancient world, they would burn mint to mask the smell of the dead. So like that's not how I want to be remembered. Like,
Hmm. Like,
hmm,
you can't escape your ex. Like, you're stuck forever.
yeah, 100%. Actually, our obol incense that we sell is mint scented for this purpose. Because if you're trying to connect to the, or not trying to connect to the dead, if you're trying to like honor the dead or whatever you're doing, we wanted it mint scented because of that specific
Because we're
little
petty myth
sentiment.
girls.
Well, we're two girls that love and worship Persephone, so we were like, we got to do our girl justice. We're gonna get this to smell like mint.
It,
So also maybe you might be spiteful and you want to light it. That's another
love
thing you
that
could do
for
with that.
you. But what's interesting is we don't know much about like Mint's beauty,
Mhm.
because like Leuce is coming from the daughter of a Titan and is considered very beautiful. But what's interesting is Minthe is the daughter of an underworld river who is basically like the personification of lamentation. Like, like woe and like horribleness. Like if you look at the infernal rivers of the underworld, like it's not a good time. But like, so she's the daughter of
Mhm.
lamentation. Like, no.
I don't know. I guess this is how I see Greek mythology. If you weren't written that you were beautiful or it wasn't talked about, you most likely weren't very awe-striking. Not that nymphs aren't beautiful because they probably are, but to be the most beautiful, like Leuce or someone like Aphrodite, who's a goddess and being known for very beautiful, or Helen. Um,
Or even Persephone with her slender ankles.
oh yeah, the slender ankles. That was crazy. Check it over on our extra membership content, the hymn to Demeter. But yeah, like I feel like if you weren't written,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
If you weren't written with a compliment of being like so beautiful or the most beautiful or slender ankled,
Yeah.
maybe it ain't you. And that's fine. But what's also interesting is verbiage, because we know words mean everything in the ancient world. And the verbiage that is used to describe Minthe is paliki or palaki, which refers to a man's unmarried consort. And that word, by using that word, you are less than the legal wife, but you are just a step above a prostitute.
Yeah. I saw that where they called her like a concubine, and I'm like, oh, oh. Um, really funny little personal thing
So,
going on over here. I have Hades and Persephone's candles lit, obviously for the podcast, and I lit the opal incense today because it smelled like mint, and I just felt like being petty. I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of funny to indulge in mythology. But yeah, so I don't know. I think she's like one of the worst, just because she was touting off that she's more superior than Persephone herself.
well, that, but I'm like trying to understand like her end goal because in Oppion's writing, like, yeah, it's coming later, but like she's basically saying like I'm better than you and he's going to be done with you soon and then he's going to come back to me and I'm going to find my way back in his bed. What is your end goal? Is it just to have Hades? Like, do you want to be queen? Like, I cannot understand what her end goal is. Like, did you just want him, or did you actually want to be queen and like his wife and everything that comes with it? Because I'm really not understanding.
So, if we look at it from the other side of things, which this is not written down, but if you can kind of read between the lines, we don't know what he told her. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
know what Hades told her. He could have said, I'm going to make you my wife one day, and then changed his mind. And she was like, like we've all been scorned by somebody. Like
yeah,
we've all been in a situation where you could have felt like you were the second option. And like the man or whoever in that relationship was telling you things, and then you thought you were getting those things. And then
yeah,
so it could also have been that way where maybe in order to get her into his bed, he said some things. I'm just
yeah.
surmising. It's not written down, but I'm just like to look at it through another lens of like, or she could just be petty and crazy. I don't know.
And spiteful. I have no
Both are
idea.
good.
But it is interesting that like she just hates Persephone, which I get. You are upset that she is, his wife and everything. She was taken and promised all these things as well. But yeah, it's really interesting that like we can't tell like what did Minthe want?
I think she wanted to be queen. I think she wanted to be with Hades. Like like anyone that says that is the type of person that wants power. Like she was trying to showcase power by challenging Persephone, and like
Mm-hmm.
Persephone, I think in this instance had no choice but to stomp her out because she had to show that she was powerful and send a message.
I mean, if you're coming for the queen's position, then I mean, the queen, hell hath no fury. Like, look out.
Right. She had to, like, if we're putting on our royal ancient caps on what the royals did. If someone is yelling at the queen saying, I'm going to take your man, I'm going to take your man, and I'm coming for your crown, you have to kill them. There's no way. Like,
Yo, that's
you
a
have
threat
to
against
kill
the
them.
crown.
Yeah, even if they're like so minuscule, like you have no choice but to actually execute them.
But to actually make an example out of
You have
them.
to send a message to everyone else. It's like you're gonna come over here with that smoke, then you're getting turned into a mint plant.
Like, I'm sorry, was I loud in my house?
Yeah. Right. Like, no, it had to, especially because he did have like some sort of relationship with her. She had to get the smoke.
She did. Like, and she was throwing that in her face of like, well, I was in his bed and like he's gonna come back in mine. It's like, ooh, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, how would you feel if someone came up to your husband that he dated and then just started saying all these things about like, I'm gonna take my man back, and you're like, excuse me?
Excuse me, let's step outside.
Excuse me? Like what?
You're
So yeah,
about
I
to
think we
rock that
kind
shit.
of have to, but I don't know. Then I like to look at it the other side. I can look at things from both sides of like, well, what was being told to Mint? I don't know.
Yes. And I agree to a point because while we don't have what he said to Minthe, we do have what he said to Persephone in the hymn to Demeter. So, like, whether you want to take it as his like wedding vows to her or whatever, he is promising after they're married, like, you will have power, you will be respected, and like, you will rule over the deathless gods. Like, you
Hmm.
have power and position. So, it is interesting that like nothing else is given to like Mint of like, what did he tell you?
Well, I'm not saying that like he didn't mean those things to Persephone. I'm saying that like it's possible he could have said things to her to make her want to like be in his bed and be around him, like, and then he could have went back on those promises. I'm not saying he could have not been an honest person in this situation.
No. I get that. I'm just like, if like, I love ancient authors
Hmm.
because they put in like so many things of like, I mean, everything, every word is a choice, an active choice at that, but like, it's
Hmm.
also an active choice to leave it out. So I'm like, what? What were y'all thinking 2,000 years ago when you were writing this?
Maybe so that we could sit around today and discuss Hades' lovers and his love life, like in 2025, we're still talking about it. Like, so what was really going on?
What was
Um,
really going on? Like, because then Minthe is afoot at the same time that he snatches and grabs Persephone. So,
Mhm.
like, these two are around at the same time. Like, who knows how much time has passed since Leuce has been turned into a
So
poplar?
she's gone. For me, like she was there at like the inception of all this, and now she's just gone. Like you know what I mean? Like when it all first happened, they overthrew Kronos, and like Hades first gets into the underworld, and he's like, I need a woman, and now like it's just thousands of years have passed in my eyes.
That's what I want to know. Like, how long?
No, like like I feel like he was single for so long because he was so heartbroken. He turned her into this tree. And then he finally decides he's gonna get back into the dating scene again, and he meets Minthe. And then
Yeah, maybe it was like, maybe just like a toxic
I don't know.
affair. I have no idea. She's the daughter of like not a great infernal river. Like, I mean, what they
I
personify,
don't
all of them
know.
aren't good. But like, and then was like, you know what? I'm gonna find me a goddess of life.
Yeah. Then maybe he needed like a tryst, and now he's ready to settle down. That's, maybe he just needed to like get over his first wife. This is just that's surmising. I don't know. You can throw all these options out there. This is so weird talking about him like this. Like I feel weird. I'm like, not
But
hate.
like, I feel like he also like he could have had all of his fun, whatever have you. But like, when you're gonna settle for somebody good. Like, you
Of
are
course.
giving them power. So like, it makes sense he wasn't gonna give that title, that crown to nymphs, in my opinion. Like, that makes the most
No.
sense to me.
Well, also mythology is based, like in my opinion, it's based off of people's experiences and stories. So like think about the ancient world. Like you could have had this man who was probably going to brothels a lot, right? Like not always virtuous when you meet your wife. Like you've seen some things, done some things. Maybe, one of the women at the brothels fell in love with you. Then you get married and like to like this
Mm-hmm.
rich girl and her family, and she's standing outside your house being like, "Excuse me, you
I've come
promised
to
me,
claim what's mine.
yeah, you promised me you would get me out of here." You know what I mean? That's just what I'm thinking in my head. Like it's giving the way humans do those things.
I mean, absolutely. But it also makes sense that I don't know, like, I don't see like the Minth Persephone, like, whenever how closely overlapped those affairs or relationships were, it's not as stark as what we see with Poseidon or Zeus. Like,
I was gonna say Zeus is a good example.
it's not like that blatant.
No.
Like, there's a whole lot of gray of like, well, did he push Mint away to like make way for Persephone, or was it like a day apart or 1,000 years apart? Like, we don't know.
We don't, but I think what you just said is also what I was surmising. He wasn't going to marry a nymph. I think that
No.
he always intended to marry a goddess, and I don't think Persephone was born at the time. So like, I think he was just kind of waiting to see what was coming around the block. Which god is going to have a kid today, and do I want that one? Do I want that young girl?
Truly just twiddling his thumbs in the underworld.
Yeah.
Like,
Like Zeus, make another offspring.
well, and that's the whole thing. Like, he had all of these, like, loves and affairs, whatever you want to call them, previous relationships. It doesn't sound like he went and talked to Oceanus to like kidnap
No, because it's a
his
nymph.
daughter.
It's a
And
nymph.
he just snatched her. I mean, Oceanus had like thousands of kids.
Mhm.
But he did like the very traditional thing of going to his future wife's father and saying, "Hey, brother, can I marry your daughter? I'm in love with her."
You can't compare those two then. One is Zeus's daughter, and the other is a daughter of like she's a nymph. I'm like, he had to go to Zeus. That was his brother.
But
And
I'm saying like that he recognizes his
yes.
role and like the procedures that are in place. Like he took what was he thought his from the Titan, and then he was like, "All right, I have to go talk to my brother about marrying his daughter." Like,
Yeah. And he knew Zeus was going to say yes. But also, for all you Zeus haters out there, there'd be no Hades and Persephone without him. So there you go. Y'all love Hades and Persephone so much. But without Zeus slanging it around town, we wouldn't have Persephone. Okay?
I like to think Zeus and Demeter were before like Hera and
I
Zeus got
always thought
together.
that. I always thought that.
I always thought like it was like okay, like we just locked up our parents and have overthrown them. Like
Adrenaline's rushing. Like, you know.
I really just want a child and I don't want you for anything else. Like
No,
I
she
can't
doesn't
survive.
seem like the type that would do that to Hera. Like she's very much like,
No, I think she was
you
just
know.
like, I'm in a pickle. I need a pickle, but I don't want to be married to you. Like, I have no feelings for you. I just need to produce a child.
100%. No, I always thought that. Like, I just, in my mind, it was way before Hera was even.
I like to think like yeah, like there was a lot after Hera. Like, don't get me wrong, but like
But this one instance we can claim in
I
our
would
minds.
I would like to claim that Demeter came before Hera
Yeah.
to just have a daughter and like move on.
Yeah. He's a fertile god.
And she's a fertility goddess herself.
Right.
Like,
No, listen, makes sense in my head, honestly. Um, I'm laughing, like, because I am so ready for that Zeus spin team episode because I can argue both sides really well.
yeah.
Like, we can all argue, he wasn't he wasn't a good husband, but like
Is
but we
that what
could
we're basing it on? Was he a good husband?
no, we're not.
No, and we already issued whether or not he was daddy or zaddy for some
Yeah.
of his kids.
All right. Okay, so the last goddess that Hades is associated with, I don't think you guys know her at all.
I think you guys are actually going to be really surprised.
There's one more that we didn't discuss today. Her name is Persephone. And I don't think we need to go into any other detail about that. We've done many episodes on Persephone. We dove into the hint of Demeter on Patreon. For our extra tier members, you'll get that as well. And I
Yeah.
think at this point, my question is, who do we think is the best match for Hades? And you have to take your bias aside. You know what I mean? Take your bias out of it.
I'd like to answer.
Go ahead.
I gotta take you gotta take your bias out. So
If you say Minthe, I'm gonna have some questions, but I'm willing to hear you out.
like a hear me out cake, just putting mint on it.
I'm just like willing to hear you out.
I mean, taking out Hades and Persephone, taking out every bias known to man in this instance, a king has to marry somebody of status.
Yes.
Like, look at any ancient history, modern history, any royal history. You are not going from somebody you met at a ball wearing glass slippers. Like, I hate to burst everybody's Disney dreams, but you need to come from somewhere.
I agree with you.
And like there are rules for that, or you need to come from, oh well, like we're going to take somebody from Spain, or I'm going to start my own church so I can divorce or kill my wife. Like you need to be having somebody of like stature and coming with their own power, like they were bred into power. So like they know how to act and everything. Like nothing would be new to them. Or you go like Zeus, who consolidates his power by marrying his sister, which we also see in history. So Hades is really playing the bureaucracy game. And I think it's a great match.
I Who was your match? You didn't say who your match
Oh,
was.
Persephone.
I knew who you were talking about, but we were like talking about something or
I
someone
took
else.
the scenic route to get there.
And I'm like, so who's your match, Ted? Goes on a whole tangent.
The ADHD just whoop.
Um, yeah, I agree, Persephone, only because I feel like she has the status, and also don't forget, like Hades is infertile. He does not bring life. He is the god of the underworld. He does not bring death, but he also does not bring life. He does not really create anything. And you need someone that is going to be the polar opposite of you in order to really rule. And I feel like he has his like fingers in all the pots. Like he has the underworld, but also his wife comes up to the mortal realm. So like I know she's not like, Hera, like queen of the gods, but she does come up to the mortal realm. So like he can see what's going on over here too, you know?
Yeah. And like both are vital and necessary. So like she
Mhm.
was brought up. I mean, because she got married, we have the cult of Eleusis and everything. But like she plays such a vital role in like death, birth, death, and rebirth that like I feel like death or the darkness of the underworld needs life, needs light. Like
It does.
one can't exist without the other. So it makes like perfect sense in my eyes that somebody who rules over death and darkness and oversees it and has to make like all these challenging decisions needs something like lighter, needs something to balance it out.
100%. And that's why I'm tired of the Hades is misunderstood commentary, because he perfectly chose a wife for himself. Like he knows what he wants. He went through the proper channels,
Mm-hmm.
abducted her. Sure, he should have said hi, how are you? We talked about that on Patreon, but he knew that he needed a partner like that. So well, there you have it. I think that he's really good at picking his partners. I
Yeah.
think I would argue, and we can go into this, all the kings, maybe aside from Poseidon, in my eyes, I don't know. We're gonna go
Yeah.
through them maybe, and like, do we think Zeus and Hera is a good match? Like, or do we like
Yeah.
any of the other, Zeus's lovers? Do we think he should have stayed with any of them? I really kind of like Zeus and Demeter, but I also understand why that doesn't work and why he was with Hera. But we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I have some theories about that. But yeah, I think with Hades and Persephone, like I also think that once she took on the role as queen of the underworld, like I think we also have to look at what her name translates to. I think we have to look at her position. Somebody has to make the hard decisions. Somebody has to rule. Like ruling doesn't come with like all the pomp and circumstance and all of the, parties and all of this kind of stuff. Like you have to make hard decisions. You could say she got played by Sisyphus and had to enact punishment. She knew she was going to be part of an attempted kidnapping by two heroes. So she, in some instances, was the one who orchestrated the whole thing. Like, in fact, I would say at some instances, Persephone is not only equal to her husband in power, but more so, and is in fact more terrifying.
Yeah, and we've discussed it on many episodes with Persephone. We've argued that she's one of the most powerful Greek goddesses for purposes of X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm just saying, like, Hera is not equal to Zeus, and you see that.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I rest my case. So we decide that Persephone was a really good match. Minthe, she shouldn't even be in the lineup. Like, she was just could have been a one night stand.
Well, that's what I want to know. I want to know how long it was. Was it like they went out on a date and a drink? Like, was it like
I
a
don't know.
7 year, 1,000 year relationship? I don't know.
I don't know. And like, what's long in terms of a god's eyes? Like, is 1,000 years long to them? Like,
I don't
maybe
know.
that's like a month for us. Like, I don't know.
No, no, man.
Like,
But do you think, and I think this is a question that I often see or people ask, do you think he cheated on Persephone or was
no.
he monogamous?
No, I think he's a monogamous king. I think we can say that about him. I do not think he cheated on Persephone. Just from reading the text, like, sure, Minthe was around the same time as Persephone, but you have to remember she also lived in the underworld. So, like,
Where's she gonna go?
That's like when you're just dating someone in your hometown and then you finally get a boyfriend and you're still in your hometown and that guy is still there being like, "Hey, what about me?" Like
Move.
right. So no, I don't think he cheated on Persephone just from the way that the myth is worded. I don't think that. What about you?
I don't think so. And I also think in how it's written, I don't believe that cheating would technically be used or count in this case because Minth's, the verbiage that was used, basically, she doesn't count. Even if she did have a relationship with him, she is still less than his legally married wife. So I think even, how close the relationships overlapped, I don't know. But the verbiage states that she is still less than Persephone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once he got married because even if you, and why do we know this? A lot of people ask us this. If you read a lot of mythology, not just
Mhm.
these few stories, if you read the vows that he said to Persephone in the hymn, it doesn't make sense that he had another lover awaiting in the wings. Like they were very powerful vows. So highly suggest the hymn to Demeter for you guys, or you can check out our deep dive on it in the extra members content because we tore that one apart in the best way possible. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are our thoughts and theories.
Anything else you want to add today in the ranking of Hades lovers?
No, I just love that we were able to talk about, some things maybe that people did not know about Hades. And I think this is probably the last thing we ever say about him because like I think now we've officially talked about everything.
I'm like, I don't like, I feel like he just shows up in kind of like blips. Like
Yeah,
there's like a
yeah.
passing sentence about him. And it's just kind of like, well, yeah, why? What else would there be? Like, I have no idea.
Well, even like in the Greek retellings we've been reading for book club, we just finished Hera. Even Hades is just like a slight mention, and even when the gods are fighting in the Trojan War, there's no mention of Hades at all because he wasn't involved. So, yeah, there's not much else to say about him because if you actually read the mythology, he's just like a blip in the timeline of like,
He says, leave me alone. I've fought my battles.
leave me alone to my underworld. You know what? I get that vibe. I understand it.
Leave me alone. Please leave me
It's
alone.
all right.
I get it. I get it. But with that being said, don't forget to join us over on the members only extra content for Zeus's spin team, where we will convince you, make Zeus cool again and everything. We will be going over some of our Greek mythology recommendations, pros, cons, and everything in between. And you can join us in asking us your craziest questions while Chelsea and I rank our favorite Greek food this coming month. And from us to you, we will see you guys next time on Sticks and Bones. Bye.
Bye.